Now, around 85% of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip have been displaced since the war began. Ahmed Bayram is spokesman for the Norwegian Refugee Council and joins us now from Amman in Jordan. Good to have you with us. Can you tell us what has been the impact of 100 days of war as far as you've seen it in Gaza?
Good morning. The impact is obviously out there for all to see. The Norwegian Refugee Council, an aid organization that operates on the ground, that has operated in Gaza for over 15 years, 16 years, has, of course, seen the impact firsthand through the over 50 people, 50 colleagues that we have on the ground who have experienced loss, grief, displacement, and, of course, fear. Their children who can't have a full night of sleep for 100 days now. They can't have a full meal for 100 days, and they can't have a clean drink of water for 100 days. I think what we have seen over these, this very, dark moment reminds us that Gaza has been made unlivable for military reasons, for which civilians are paying the price. And sadly, we are here 100 days after repeating the same thing, saying the same thing, and sending out the same appeals to stop the bloodshed now.
When you look at the past 100 days and you look at the amount of aid that's been getting in, give us an idea of just how far it falls short of what is needed, given, as you say, the conditions within the Gaza Strip are unlivable without a hot meal, without clean drinking water, and in many cases without even shelter.
I think the answer is in the numbers. We're looking at, in 2024 now, we're looking at an entire population on the brink of starvation and famine. This should have never come down to this. We should have never come to a grim figure like that. 2.3 million people don't know where the next meal is going to come from. The Norwegian Refugee Council and other organizations are bringing in aid, which is nowhere near enough. We're hardly able to operate in these little pockets, tiny pockets of shelters, of areas where people are being told to flee to and then go back to the areas where they have been. And of course, the Israeli attacks have turned the entire of the Gaza Strip into this, a game of table tennis, almost ping-ponging people around the Gaza Strip, as if they are objects. They're not, as if they're not humans. And I think that has to stop as well. I think what is most disappointing is with all the rhetoric, with all the hopeful rhetoric that we have heard, with all the promises that we have heard about more aid that will come in, on the ground, we are still seeing these difficulties with the bureaucracy, with the scale of insufficient aid that is coming in. And in the end, it's civilians that are suffering, it's children that are suffering with contagious diseases, lack of food, lack of fuel, and lack of water.
The Norwegian Refugee Council has, just in the past couple of months, said that the pulverizing of Gaza ranks amongst the worst assaults on any civilian population in our time. What do you make of the international response to this war on Gaza?
It has been disappointing, and we have been disappointed at the Norwegian Refugee Council, despite our consistent appealing, constant, calls for a ceasefire. I think the answer has still not come. The answer for civilians has not come. The answer of a complete suspension of hostilities, and of course the return of people displaced. We are talking now about almost everybody in Gaza being displaced. Some of them have been displaced twice, 3 times, and all these calls have been unheeded. Israel continues its bombing from all sides. And now we've heard, even in Mawasi, for example, where people have been told to go, now they have been told, that, Israel will continue its operations in Al-Mawasi, where they have been asked to go, and now they have to go back to areas where it has asked people to leave. It's so confusing for people. People have lost communication with their family members, and I have teams, we have teams, NRC teams on the ground have lost communication with their own people and with their own colleagues. We have to stop this, and Israel has to stop these attacks, and we have to reach a ceasefire as soon as possible.
Are you concerned that when the war does eventually come to an end, that if people are able to leave the Gaza Strip, that they will in large numbers and we'll see a mass displacement of a population?
What we have been saying from the get-go really is that when Israel forcibly transfers people, it bears responsibility. It violates international law, and it bears responsibility for the return of these people. People have choice, and they have been stripped of that choice. They have been stripped of that voluntary movement. They are now going to places they don't want to go to. So what we need to see is the opposite, is for people to go back home. It's for people to return and for Gaza to be made livable again. And that, that is the responsibility of not just the international community and, of course, Israel as the occupier, which should guarantee the well-being of the people. We have been very clear and uncompromising about that. There cannot be any involuntary movement for people, wherever that is. If someone, makes the choice, that is up to them. But of course, they should not make that choice out of being forced to leave home when they don't want to with their children and with their family.
Ahmed Bayram from the Norwegian Refugee Council, many thanks for talking to us.
Okay.